just going to capture it. So hang on, you go back, you're depressed, you trip over a sign.
I trip over a sign, it's an A-frame sign, and I put it back up. I stumbled in, not watching where I was going, and it said, psychic readings, $50 for 30 minutes. And I felt in my back pocket, I never carry cash, so I thought, not a chance. But the pants I was wearing, I haven't worn for 6 months, and there was a 50 in the back pocket. So I went, all right. And she looks at me in the shop and goes, oh, wow, look at you. I went, yeah, green. She goes, oh, you know then, the energy of the colour. I went, yeah, apparently I'm a healer, whatever the fuck that means. And I was really negative and rude. And then she takes me in the back room, she goes, you've got 12 angels travelling with you. And I went, oh, sweet, that must be Jesus. And I took the piss hardcore. Look, I'm never that rude to anyone. And she goes, you don't realise they're not normal angels, they're top shelf, high-ranking, powerful angels. And I went, oh, sweet, it must be Jesus. And I mocked her. I don't know how, I'm ashamed of her to say it, but then she said, what you don't understand is you outrank them as their commander. And I went, oh, sweet, it must be Jesus then, freak. And she then said, they're actually really pissed off with you right now. And that was the first time I became sensible. She got my attention. I was like, why would they be pissed off with me? And she said, because you all came here to do a story and you're not stepping up and doing it, and they're thinking they've wasted their time on the whole journey.
Oh, wow.
And I just went, whatever. And then she said there's 300 indigenous spirits attached to you because you have an empathy for the land. And I was very saddened by what the mining industry has done to Western Australia when I saw it. And that's the reason he was so depressed. And she spoke so many different languages to these beings, and they left. And I felt way better when I left.
Yeah.
3 years later, I was depressed on the rock wall in Brunswick Heads, and I was going to commit suicide that night, for real, not just thinking about it. I was gone past all those points. I was going. And as a desperate last attempt, I just said out loud, if that shit's true and you're really there, you need to step into my body right now, guys, and take over, because I'm taking this meat suit off the cliff tonight. And I just started convulsing and crying, like howling.
Yeah, uncontrollably.
And I had to walk back through holiday season in a holiday town through a caravan park. Like literally I would have walked through a crowd of between 100 to 200 people just to do the 2 kilometres to my house. And I had a hoodie on, and I was trying to hide, but my face was just like, and I couldn't stop the noise, I couldn't stop the crying.
Yeah.
Every screen I opened on my phone when I jumped into bed was emotional manipulator. And then I had never looked that up. And they used the power of technology to just make me go, what is that? I Googled it, and they force-fed me my shadow. And I was suicidal as fuck because I thought I was a protector of women because my mum got assaulted quite a bit and I was too small to ever help her.
So here you are, protector of women, and they're like, here's your shadow side.
Yeah, when I
not honouring the feminine.
When I studied the emotional manipulator, we don't do it deliberately. We have a character that steps in from childhood trauma when we decide I can't cope with anymore, and it learns to play people to remain safe and not be hurt again. So in doing that in relationships, I had controlled my partner's energy. I drained their energy, all in the desire just to be safe, not deliberately or even knowingly. But I was devastated to the point where I could even imagine I'd hurt women, and I hurt every single one that I've ever encountered.
Yeah, wow. All because of a decision you made to survive when you were younger.
Yeah, subconsciously it's all
that's the
on.
shadow work, right? Like you decide you're not, you are something, and then you rule out everything that's not, and then until you confront it,
point and blame, and then you realise it's here.
You're the manipulator.
So I'm sitting there after I've read it all for hours, just going, I'm definitely tapping out now.
Yeah.
And there's a banner at the bottom of the screen that said, when I found out I was an EM, emotional manipulator, I was suicidal until, and ... It was like advertising. I jumped on that thing like a life raft.
Yeah.
And the solution, thankfully, when I read another hour's worth of stuff from that lady, was the solution is quite rapid and very simple.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, I won't die right now, maybe tomorrow, but I'll read this. And basically all you have to do is to go and tell everyone you know, like literally everyone you know,
and clean up
and present, that's what you are.
Yeah.
And somehow, I don't know how it works, a policeman kind of guy develops in your head. I mean, obviously you've got to take that character, thank it for its service, not reject it, but love it back into the fight.
Well, that's the inner child healing work that you're doing, is bringing that part that didn't feel safe back into your whole, and then owning that you've developed a shadow to survive, and not making the shadow wrong.
When you love that shadow and thank it and bring it back into the family and say you've got some brilliant skills, but they're only allowed to work for love now.
Yeah.
It's like a mum having a kid that she's ignoring. That kid just acts out and tantrums and shit. But when she gives him a bunch of attention and includes him in what she's doing, he doesn't have to act out.
Yeah, well, you're reparenting yourself.
Yeah, so the shadow no longer is there. It's always there.
Yeah.
And the skills are there, but once turned to love, they're actually your superpowers.
Yeah.
So,
hang on, that's pretty profound. So when you do the healing work around your inner shadow, the first thing you're going to do is go down a shame and a guilt hole. Yeah, and then judge yourself, and then the confronting part is when you can take responsibility for that and really get that there's a part of you inside of you, that inner child that just made the decision to be a certain way to stay safe because they never got the safety from their parents or someone else. And then the healing work is when you can take responsibility without the shame and the guilt and the judgment, that you can then turn around and integrate that wholeness back into yourself, and then you need to do the work externally to go take ownership out in your environment of the people you've hurt, the people you've, and it's not like that.
If you have the courage to take accountability and verbally with other people and take on board that, not shame, I don't do shame, but the accountability of what you have become.
Own it.
A voice somehow starts in all of your interactions whereby if I tell somebody I'm doing it tough and I've got no money and they offer me a 50 in that same sentence, I won't take it because the voice goes no. Yeah. That can be misconstrued as manipulation. I've got to learn to receive, and that person's being generous. I'll accept help from someone who knew I was doing it tough, but I didn't tell them that. And as you talk, your mind is calling yourself out on manipulations, and you're not able to do it anymore. You just call yourself out.
It becomes out of integrity for you because you've got to.
Occasionally you slip up. Occasionally you drift back into the shadow where you do manipulate, and you see it clearly, and you apologise for it immediately. And it's incredible how it works. And I really believe that the story we write for our human to experience before we come here has the trauma built in.
It has to.
We can't blame anyone. We asked for it.
Yeah, you have to have the polarity to get the lesson.
And I do believe that we all have a soul mission, and I do believe that we don't have the skills for the soul mission until those shadow characters develop.
100%.
Who have amazing skills. I've got an even worse one who's got better skills, and we're not capable of carrying out our soul mission without the skills of those shadow characters. So the reason we write the trauma in is to get the shadow. And when we integrate the shadow, we now have a skill set that only works for love ever. Doesn't act out ever on its own, and only then can we be told and our soul journey, a mission on this earth, can be revealed to us. Because we now don't deny that we're a bad person. We don't judge the bad because we know it's in us. And these guys have the powers that will carry out, that will match that soul mission exactly. And that's the remembering. That's
what people get, I think, confused with. What's the remembrance? It's like it starts with being willing to have the courage to confront and take ownership of your shadow. Because so many people want to stay in the light and think they're good humans, and we're all good, and it's not good and bad, it's just light and shadow. And without the shadow, we don't get the polarity reflection of the light. 100%. So I kind of say, this is love, and for you to see love, you need to see not love and experience not love. And all our job is to do is to catch when we're off track with love and we're operating from a not love space, and then integrate it back in, and then keep integrating, and that's the shadow getting less and less and less, which then gives us the capacity to be more and more light, and then we can use those skills and those remembrance of the superpowers for good, rather than the evil that controls us when we run from the shadow.
I was born into a family that was highly conditional love in a very religious cult upbringing. And that was also deliberate. I can't complain about the things that happened to me or the situation, because I left that and went searching for what unconditional love meant. And that was part of my journey too. And just very briefly, the next shadow character they smacked in my face was psychopath, which you would think would be more confronting than manipulator because it's so feared and dangerous. It was a very fast 24-hour process where the suicidal came in and the seeing the superpowers if that psychopath is turned around to love, because one of the articles said a psychopath is in the military is used through their studies and their research. The facts are one psychopath is able to make up to 2,000 people behave like him and follow him and be brainwashed by his charisma, and that's how they use it in the military, and that's why veterans have such trauma, because they can't understand why they behave like that.
Yeah.
It's the one psychopath that controls 2,000 people, and I immediately saw the skill set that if you turn that psychopath to love, you can walk 2,000 people into the new earth, into love, before they've even realised they're following you, that they've been tricked, but in a beautifully positive way.
Yep.
And I thought, no wonder that Mother Earth is running out of time. They've sped things up. They're waking the psychopaths up first, so that we can gather 2,000 people each to walk behind us into love.
You're a love psychopath.
And I just went, holy fuck.
Yeah.
How can something so negative turn into something so powerful and beautiful?
It's beautiful, bro.